everybody, football is back, competitive football is back, at least with the Community Shield taking place with Manchester City versus Manchester United this Saturday, 3 o'clock UK time. I will be doing a watch-along. Watch-alongs are back. Come and join me for them. Have a little taste of what watch-alongs are going to bring.
This is typical City now, holding up silverware.
Talon goal! FIFA Club World Cup champions rolled out the red carpet and said, here you go, Manchester City, do you fancy some 3 points? Got rats upstairs, fucking like infesting the house. I've got an itchy knob and I'm fucking fuming, mate. We are top the league, so we are top the league. Less clean sheets than a Premier Inn. Come on, City! Penalty, you fucker! Oh! I just went, oh, what a save from fucking Flecken! Piss off! Mark Flecken! Got a little bag of drugs here. Flecked it in! Is it? We've done it! Yep, something clever. Something shit, actually. Let me change that word from clever to shit. Like what have I been drinking? Mud and piss? Erling Haaland makes it fucking 1-0. Shite! Is that a rat poo or a squirrel poo? Ooh. Champions League big ears. Big red ears. Jesus Christ. Rodri! Buried! He's buried it! He's buried it! Oh, for fuck's sake, City! I wish I could poo that quick.
Oh, thanks, Pep. Oh, thanks for taking me round. Oh, wow, look at that. Wow, look at that player.
Jackie boy! Jackie boy! I'm leaving you forever and I hate you and you're a piece of shit and I wish I'd never met you. It's just mistake after mistake. Yeah! That Johnny's a twat. He always sits on my face. Oscar Bob! Oscar Bob! Oscar Bob! Now, shut up shop. It's a fucking penalty! So the Community Shield is the first taste of competitive football for Manchester City this coming season. And that age-old debate, does it matter? Does it matter? Is it just a glorified pre-season friendly? For me, absolutely not. You ask any of the players that will be involved in this, they will adamantly tell you they want to win. They are elite sportsmen. You don't get to that level without wanting to win every single taste of competition. I mean, if you're a City fan, you're playing Manchester United. You can't say it doesn't matter. But I tell you what, if we lose, doesn't matter. I will be saying that. Of course I will be. If we lose, doesn't matter. It's pre-season. Who cares? That's what I will be saying. I'm telling you right now. I'm absolutely going to say that. If we win, though, what an achievement. It'll be a fantastic achievement and revenge. But it matters. Seriously, it absolutely matters for me. And every single little taste of competition matters for me. In fact, where's it got? There it is. This was the only Nerf bullet my son hit me with in our most recent Nerf gun battle. I battered him. I absolutely battered the crap out of him. Headshot after headshot. It was like boom, 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 boom. Nothing on me, and this is the only bullet he hit me with. Have some of that. Everything matters. Competition, you have to win. He's going to grow up to be a winner just like the rest of the Manchester City squad are winners. And they're going to win this. Let's hope they do at least, because pre-season has taken a toll on both sides. There's a bit of injury concerns, mostly from the United camp, with a defensive concern. 7 potential players United could be missing. Probably not all of them, but City as well, they've got concerns as well with players only just coming back. The same for both parties really involved in this. But yes, this tournament absolutely matters. And there is a record up for grabs that we don't want. Now, we've spoken quite heavily about 4 Premier League titles in a row. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And just a little reminder to Manchester United fans that, yeah, that's something they've never done. They've never done. And they are a minimum of 4 years away from ever getting close to doing such a thing. So that's a fantastic achievement. But there is a record that we do not want, and that's 4 Community Shield losses in a row. Having lost to Arsenal last year on penalties, if I remember rightly, and I think it was Liverpool the year before that, and I remember the Leicester one because it really bugged me. It was a Nathan Ake penalty giveaway, I think, with Iheanacho, if I remember rightly, and it bugged me that game. But 3 Community Shields in a row we've lost, and we don't want a 4th Community Shield in a row because that will be a record. And guess who we would be equaling? Manchester United. They own that record. Let them keep it. They own that record, 4 Community Shield losses in a row. They have won the most Community Shields out of anyone in the English pyramid. But what they have got is 4 Community Shield losses in a row. Can't remember when it was, but that is a record that we do not want. And that FA Cup final as well. 11 weeks ago, an FA Cup final lost to Manchester United that was a bitter pill to swallow, and we will be seeking revenge for that. The players will not have forgotten that. Of course they won't. City fans have definitely not forgotten that. But we do need to remind ourselves First of all, City fans need to remember that if we do go and lose this Community Shield, there is absolutely no need to panic because, like I've just said, we lost the last 3 Community Shields and we went on to win the Premier League in all 3 competitions. The 2 years ago, we went on to win the FA Cup, the Champions League and the Premier League. So let's not forget that this competition doesn't decide your season. In fact, I think if we were to lose this, City, well, you know we will bounce back. If United lose this, I think that's a big loss. I think it'll be detrimental to their mentality and their psychology going into the upcoming season. I think it will be a real blow because they will have been riding high off that FA Cup win against Manchester City last season. But you beat them at Wembley again in familiar territory. That will hurt them. That will hurt them more than it'll hurt us because we know we can bounce back. How are they going to bounce back if they lose to City in the Community Shield? Because they are way more fragile than we are. Way more fragile. And you know, I've just proven it. We've lost our last 3 Community Shields and we went on to win the league in all 3 seasons. So if we do lose, City fans, there's absolutely no need to panic. And we also need to remind United fans that we spanked them last season, home and away. Was it 3-0 at Old Trafford? Absolutely wiped the floor with them. And 3-1 at the Etihad. 6 points in total off Manchester United once again. And it's not the first time we've done that, and we do that quite frequently. So we need to remind them and give them a little taste of what's to come in this upcoming Premier League season. But how are the teams going to fare? How are they going to set up? I think is most interesting about this particular tournament, because if you look at the setup from City going into pre-season, there was a lot of missing players. If you look at the setup from Manchester United, a lot of missing players as well. Players this week for both teams have just come back. I can read you a list out here of players that have just returned from City's point of view. Rodri, Foden and Walker and Stones and Alvarez haven't returned, whereas you've got your Akanjis and Diaz, De Bruyne. Multiple players have returned for Manchester City. Bernardo Silva as well has returned, which is fantastic news. I do think there's going to be a blend, though, of players that have got momentum from the pre-season. You're looking at Oscar Bob. You're looking at James McAtee. You're looking at Rico Lewis. Obviously, Erling Haaland, who would start either way. He's in both sides of this discussion, whether you would start the seasoned pros, the experienced players that we can hang our hats on, and we know full well what we get from them, or you're going to trust the academy players, not so much academy players, but fringe players, let's call them, who've been playing in the pre-season games, like the players I've just listed, your McAtees and your Bobs, for example. I think there's going to be a lot of trust placed in them. I don't think Pep's going to throw them all in. The players that have returned, Doku, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, I'm not convinced he's going to throw all of them in. I think there'll be a mix of them. The same can be said about Manchester United, who've got players that have returned. You've got Fernandes, Diego Dallo, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Mainu, Palestri, Garnacho, all returned to training for Manchester United this week. Will he be throwing all of those players in? Because the majority of those players that I just listed there, on a good day, if they were fully fit, or everyone at the same level of fitness, they would all start, most likely, for Manchester United. Lenny Yoro for Manchester United is out, which is hilarious because they've just signed him. Ha ha. Rasmus Højlund is out as well. Will Joshua Zirkzee get a debut up front for Manchester United against City in a Manchester derby? What a game to start him that would be. I have a feeling he might do. Whether he will or whether, I don't know. In terms of the pre-season form, again, a mixed bag for Manchester City. We lost to Celtic, we lost to AC Milan, we drew to Barcelona, eventually losing on penalties as well, if you want to count that as a loss. But in 90 minutes, we drew with Barcelona, and then we wiped the floor with Chelsea with a very convincing in the scoreline, a little less so in terms of control, because we didn't dominate the ball as much as I would like to have seen City do. But the scoreline was emphatic with a 4-2 win, 4 goals, go 4-0 up at that point as well. It was a really good performance, a hat-trick from Erling Haaland as well. Erling Haaland, who's got 9 goals in 6 games against Manchester United. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. Can't see the like of Phil Foden being thrown in there, who's been missing from training this week, who he has got 6 goals in 6 games against Manchester United. So he's someone who I would love to have seen. Obviously, Rodri is a massive, massive loss. He's also nursing an injury at the minute, Rodri. So even if he did come back to training, he probably wouldn't be playing anyway, because the injury sounds like it might spoil the start of our season a little bit. So we need to be careful here. It's going to be that's the area of the pitch that's most concerning to City fans in the transfer market, bringing in a player to cover for Rodri, play alongside Rodri, play just in front of Rodri, however you want to call it. That's the area of the pitch I think most City fans are concerned about. I'm one of them as well, and this will be a real good test to see if Pep and the Manchester City staff have made the right decision in not going out and out for a defensive midfielder. What we do in this particular position against the likes of United in a Manchester derby is going to be real indication of how well we're going to fare in that area of the pitch, which is fascinating. United have got problems at the back, though. They have got some problems at the back. I'm looking at the list of players that are potentially missing for them, because against the pre-season game against Liverpool, United had Wan-Bissaka coming off the pitch, picking up a knock. Also, Wan-Bissaka may not play because his move to West Ham is up in the air a little bit. That move may accelerate potentially before the game in the next day or two. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. Which could affect his likeliness of appearing in this game or not. You've got Lindelof, who could potentially be joining Fenerbahce. He's got high wage demands as well. So is he going to be thrown into a Manchester derby while the likeliness is he's on his way out of the club? Again, probably not. Maguire, he also picked up a knock against Liverpool. Jonny Evans, he picked up a knock against Liverpool. So I think United needs to have words with their medical department, because they've been bitching and moaning about their injuries. But I mean, it's not bad luck. That's just poor management. That's just poor medical treatment. There's no way this list of players is just luck. No, it's just bad. They're not looking after themselves. The medical staff is not doing their job, because we have a much smaller squad than United do. But we don't lose players to this level of injury. It's absolutely outrageous, the amount of players that United lost last season. They can blame that all they want, but it's fine by me. It's still the same United squad that's being put out and getting beaten, finishing 8th in the Premier League last season. So, anyway, in terms of team news, I'm going to go with Manchester City first. Let's have a guess. And obviously, this is done early. I've gone early with my preview this time for the Community Shield, 2 days before the game, in fact. So there could be some changes. We haven't heard from Erik ten Hag yet. We haven't heard from Pep Guardiola yet as to who is definitely going to be fit and ready to play in this game. So there may be some changes, but with the information that I've got now, this is the best that I can give you. Get in the comments below and let me know what you think. What would be your preferred starting 11 for Manchester City? I'm going to go with Ortega in goal. At the back, I'm going to go with a little bit risky, because Akanji, who is just back, as well as Ruben Diaz, who is just back. Both sort of left the competition in the Euros around the same time. So I'm going to go with Akanji at right centre-back, Ruben Diaz central centre-back, and Josko Gvardiol as left centre-back. Now, we are into the problem area of Manchester City's starting 11, with no Rodri being available. We know Kovacic is available, so I'm going to go with Mateo Kovacic. But not as a single pivot. I don't think he's got the ability to hold that position on his own. I think he needs a partner, in which case I'm going to have to throw Rico Lewis into the midfield with him as an inverted right back as well, effectively. So you could see a little bit of this without the ball, when we don't have the ball in that position. But when we do have the ball, Rico Lewis will be pushing into midfield alongside Mateo Kovacic. Now, you've got Bernardo Silva's come back, Kevin De Bruyne has come back, but do you want to risk them and throw them into a game with, 5 days of training under their belt? It's a high-risk move. It'll be interesting to see if which manager out of Pep Guardiola wants to stick or twist and really throw their best players into the deep end, into a high-octane match like this, to have a much better chance of potentially winning that piece of silverware, but also increasing your chances of getting a player injured for the upcoming weeks, potentially months, depending on the severity of the injury for the start of the season. It's your give and take, your risk and reward. What do you want to do? I don't think Pep's going to risk too many big, high-profile players in this game. I have a feeling he's going to really show some dependency on the players that did really well in pre-season. And one of those players is James McAtee. Now, I think he is going to start James McAtee, but what he does alongside him, though, is up for debate. So it's really tough. I think he might start Kevin De Bruyne, just to have that experienced head Kevin De Bruyne is not someone who runs around the pitch as much as he used to anymore. He's a little less mobile since that big injury. Even when he came back last season, he may have shifted his game style a little bit to be a little bit more calculated and more cautious in his approach physically, but more devastating and dangerous with his passing and his through ball ability that we all know that he's got in abundance. So I still think he might start Kevin De Bruyne in this game. We do know who's going to start up front, as long as he's fit, of course, which reports suggesting that he is Erling Haaland. 9 goals in 6 games against Manchester United is going to put the frights up them. What we do on the wings, though, we've got to start with Oscar Bob because of that form. I know people will be saying, yeah, well, we've got to start Savinho. I want to see Savinho. Me too. I want to see Savinho as well. You could play him on the other side. You could play Doku on the other side. Again, I think he's going to go with the tried and trusted method that we've seen a lot of in pre-season, which is Jack Grealish. Excitement-wise, I would rather see Doku there. I would rather see Savinho there, but Grealish didn't do that badly in pre-season. He didn't exactly light the place up, but he didn't do anything drastically wrong in my books either, and that's what Grealish needs to start doing more of, is lighting up this Manchester City starting 11, and this is a great opportunity to do it. What's your predicted starting 11? Do you agree with this starting 11? Who would you start instead of the players that I've picked? Get in the comments below. Think about the risk and reward as well. Think about the fitness levels because they've just come back. You have to factor that in. Manchester United, same problems for them. I think they're going to go with Andre Onana in the bags. What do they do in defence is where it's most interesting for me, because I think Harry Maguire has picked up that knock, but I have a feeling that he'll be okay. We'll find out, I think today actually, Erik ten Hag is doing his pre-match press conference. So I'm going with Harry Maguire at centre-back. Like City, who thrown in Ruben Diaz, or I'm predicting that they're going to throw in Ruben Diaz. I think they're going to throw in Martinez alongside him, who handled Erling Haaland really well in the FA Cup final. So that's a partnership that I think is physical and experienced enough to at least cause Erling Haaland some problems, and I think will be the best bet for them. Will they go for Luke Shaw at left-back, who's just returned, or could they go for the inexperienced youth player of Harry Amas, who could potentially play at left-back for Manchester United? I have a feeling it's going to be Luke Shaw, though, because I think United will want to continue that momentum of silverware. Erik ten Hag's been giving a lot of that about the number of trophies. 2, mate, 2. You've won 2 trophies, mate. Have a look at Pep's trophy cabinet. But he's been moaning and moaning about how much he doesn't get enough respect for the number of trophies that he's won. And he will want to add this to his cabinet, which is why I think he will be a little bit more bold than Pep, whereas Pep will probably be more pragmatic and look over the course of the season in terms of fitness and man management, player fitness management in particular. Right back is interesting. Are you going to go with Dalot or are you going to go with Wan-Bissaka? Wan-Bissaka, who handled Gvardiol really well in that FA Cup final until Doku came onto the pitch and started to run some serious rings and damage around Wan-Bissaka, and eventually got a goal back as well in that game, but the damage was already done in the first half. I've got a feeling they might start Wan-Bissaka again. It all depends on the potential. That's not that likely, but there is a potential departure for Wan-Bissaka, with West Ham being a destination for the player. In front of them, we've got the option for Casemiro. I think they will probably play Casemiro in front of Harry Maguire and Martinez. And then alongside him as well, you've had, who've they had in? There's that young lad that's been playing for them. Toby Collier, who's been playing quite frequently throughout the pre-season for Man United. They could go with him, but Mainu is back. Mainu is back, and he's another example of a player that I think Man United, and most definitely United fans, will want to see in the starting 11 for Manchester United. So I imagine they will start with Mainu alongside Casemiro. In front of them, you've got more options that you could push into the starting 11. Only just back, though, is Bruno Fernandes, but I think they're going to stick with Mason Mount because they paid a lot of money for him. You know, a large amount of money for Mason Mount, who's done absolutely nothing wearing the number 7 for Manchester United. In front of Mount, you've got Xerxes, who could play. Sancho's been playing, which I think is interesting, because I think there's obviously a decent player there, but one that's got a shockingly bad attitude and spat his dummy out as he popped it back in his mouth and started to respect the manager, Erik ten Hag, because he started to play in pre-season. He's actually been playing as a false 9. As well, Jadon Sancho could potentially start up front for Manchester United, and I have a feeling he might go with that. It could be Xerxes, which would be a risky move, considering it would be his debut. But I have a feeling because of the pre-season, I think he's going to go with Jadon Sancho. He's also linked with a move away from the club, so he could potentially be on his way out, and this game could be in the way of a potential signature being added to paper. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Marcus Rashford, who's been playing a lot of football in the pre-season, has been playing on the left. Again, you could go with Garnacho out on the left. And Amad Diallo, who's been playing a lot in the pre-season, has also been playing for Manchester United and doing really, really well, in truth. He looks like a very good player, but again, you could see Garnacho there. You could see Marcus Rashford out on the right. You could see Jadon Sancho out on the right, potentially. So a lot of options for both teams. It's going to be really interesting to see how they mix up that pre-season momentum and knowing what the experienced players bring to the table. What do you think, Blues? Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts for the starting 11 and your prediction. Mine is going to be 3-1 City. I'm doing a watch-along, of course, so don't forget that. Come and join me for the first watch-along of the season. Competitive football is back. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now, holding up Silva.